Going live. You're live. I gotta tell you, it's amazing that they actually let me keep coming back here every day. You know that? I think if I tried to do it Sundays, they'd get mad at me because I'm not, you know, I'm not a Sunday kind of person. So anyhow, I did a couple short stories, and then I did some weird topics and stuff on my other posted video. So let me just get this out of the way. This is the news that's I found relative this morning. Ted Turner passed away peacefully. I don't know if it was a long-term disease or not, but he was gone. I, I didn't get to read the whole article, and I was wondering if he's still married to Jane Fonda, the actress. That was a historical family. The Fondas. You had Peters and I don't know, Jane. She was out there. She's a very outspoken young. She's an outspoken woman. She's fights for a lot of causes. She's been around for a long time. She's not sitting around doing nothing about nothing. Turner's been quiet for a lot of years, so I'm assuming he had some sort of long term something or another. But I like Turner Channel movies and or movie channel rather. I watch CNN occasionally. It's my home page, but I don't think Turner has much to do with that anymore. He's been around forever. He was a big pioneer in that cable news networks, and that helped to get cable off the ground in general. Made it more of a uh, first string type. You know what I mean? Media operation rather than and we're talking about cable in general now, other than just the movie chat. It's just other than just the HBO. Gave it some credibility. Okay. And the other one, Putin's scared. He's locked him. They're locking him. They say they're afraid for him, but he's got to be scared too. He's pretty much locked himself away. He's canceling some public appearances and whatnot. He's got the big one coming up for the celebration of victory celebration, whatever it's called. And that's they're all worried about something bad happening to him, and CIA is probably praying. You never know with these guys, whether they want him around or not. But I think it's best to deal with the enemy you know rather than the enemy you don't know. So let's see if he can stay around a little bit longer. And then, of course, Trump had to open his mouth. He can't go 2 or 3 days. He can't go 2 or 3 hours without saying something outrageously stupid and obnoxious and designed to produce violent reactions amongst his constituency, which is not the highest IQs in the world, apparently. He is making a claim now that the Pope is putting Catholics in danger by his position on Iran. Now, I got to tell you something. The only person putting the Catholics, Jews, or anybody else into danger is Trump and Hexeth with their military moves. If they just would sit down and try to negotiate legitimately, they might get someplace. I'm not sure because the Arab world is different than my world, so I don't want to. I don't know what they respect and don't respect. They probably do respect dealings from positions of strength, but they don't like to admit that. So, but that's the deal. I mean, him to say that's just stupid. But he's not a smart man. He says a lot of dumb shit, and this is just another one of those things, dumb shit things he says. You know what I'm saying? Oh wow, I'm out of breath again today. I don't know what's going on with me. I know it's oppressively hot. Um, I don't know what's going on with this. Now it's moving. I'll be dipped. Yeah. goes and it shuts itself down. That's strange. Very strange. Speaking of strange, how many of you have experienced a not, I don't want to say. Well, I've experienced a UFO event that a UFO event that I've never been able to explain. And then when you question the authorities, they say they have no reports of that, or the only reports they're getting are from drunks and drug addicts or something. They don't want to admit to this existed. But I was coming home, taking a girlfriend home uh, one evening, and it was a very bad thunderstorm, very violent lightning and everything all over the place. And there was a small, what would look appear to be a small cloud. All of a sudden, starts bouncing like this off of clouds. I mean, no direct direction, backwards, forwards, up, down, sideways, diagonally, the whole thing. It went all over the whole sky like that. Now that was before, I think it was around the same time or before. It might have been before Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where one of the little ships did the same thing out of the cloud. All right. So, anyhow, I watched this and I saw a bunch of people on the side of the road. I pulled off. It was on the highway, uh, US 287. So I pulled off and I sit there and I get out of the car and I'm talking to people. Are you really seeing this? He said, "Yeah, man." And a couple of them were stoned, which was cool. A couple of them might have been drunk. The rest of them were on their way home. Just like me. I had a few cocktails. I wasn't drunk because I wouldn't have been driving down that highway because that's just asking to get pulled over, and I'm not that stupid. So, yeah, so I don't know what it was. I never found out. The authorities denied it existed. And had the authorities said there was something, a phenomenon, a, a cloud that got uh, clouds that were negatively running into a cloud that was positively charged or something like that, that there was that's whether there was a believable natural phenomenon or not. All right. Since I've never seen anything like that or heard anything about something like that before in my life. This is a tremendously violent storm that passed through, and it could have generated that kind of energy. So I just, after a while, I just said, okay, you know, nobody wants to believe it. I called up some friends of mine and asked, were there any sightings? And they said no, So I said, okay. And I didn't go around repeating it because I had no proof. I didn't take pictures. I didn't have camera. We didn't have camera phones back then. So got no pictures of it, no videos, evidence or anything like that. So I'd be just, I mean, a couple hundred people saw it with me. So, I don't know. Anyhow, I have a tendency though, when they tell you, they don't try to explain it. They just said, nobody's reported anything like that, sort of. We're sorry that they're lying to me for some reason. And I don't know why. Could have been a weather balloon bouncing off this, could have been a lot of things. They don't want to explain it away. They don't want to try. They just sit there and go, we didn't see nothing. This is the government. So those kind of things scare me. But how many of you believe in UFOs? All right. I have seen a couple of other very strange things in my life, but that takes into the supernatural, and I don't want to get into that this time on this video. I did on the other one. I don't want to get into this video. But I've seen a ton of stuff that doesn't make sense sometimes, can't be explained. Nobody ever explains it. And that's, see, the kind of personality I have is like, if you don't explain something to me that I know I saw, I don't care. Just give me a reason. Make one up. Doesn't have to be the real reason. I'll pretty much just let it go and forget about it. But when you say to me, didn't happen, dude, then you got a problem. It's like, tell me no. No. Why? No. But why? No. No, that don't work with me. Uh-uh. That's not the way to start a conversation with me. Don't care if you're a close relative, don't care about anything. That's not the way to get become my friend or something doing that. That's going to cause some serious problems between you and me. But anyhow, so I see that, and I have some crazy little beliefs here and there, every once in a while I like to throw this out to people. I said, what if we're really a science experiment from another planet? This could even be a giant bell jar, you know. The Catholicism would tell you that it is an experiment. It's an experiment by God. Yeah, right. He made everybody in his own image. And how come we got blacks and whites? And how come God wasn't white, but they portray him as being white? I mean, come on. Let's get with the story here. God was brown. He was an Arab, Jewish Arab. You know, and that's if you're assuming you're talking about Jesus Christ, who the Catholics were is the Son of God, but he's the one that they pray to, which is this contradictory to their beliefs about idols and stuff like that. So, and you're believing in you're basically worshiping. It's right there in every church. It's the Son of God on a cross, white. You know, everything. It doesn't make any sense, people. Well, let's just say we're an experiment. Uh, Somebody along the way dropped in some. We'll call it. We'll use the same terminology that we do, so that sort of makes it easy to explain. DNA, and it's just DNA. Dropped it into to the plasma mix when this whole mess was starting out. And you get they come back every 30 or 40, whatever, 10, 20, 30, 40,000 years. Check it out to see how far we advance. Well, how do you check out how far you're advancing when you reach a certain level of development? Okay, well, like if you wanted to tell how far the human race had developed as it appears now, not the you can go back to the 17, 1800s, whatever you want. Whatever you do is you don't go out and pick up the smartest person on the planet and see how smart he is. That's how we find out how smart this planet is. No, you go find the average or below average intellectual level people, and you take them someplace and you test them. And that's what happens when these kidnappings take place. They're not geniuses, they're kidnapping. They're average, what they call average or below average individuals in rural areas. Which at first nobody said it doesn't make any sense because they would want to kidnap their leader. No, they don't. The way to measure a intellectual growth pattern of a civilization is to take its lowest number, not its highest number. The lowest number will eventually start to rise. There are other numbers that will leap far ahead of everybody else, but the lowest average number will rise slowly, and that you can develop out of that the various predictions for personality traits and what have you, and all that other good stuff. And we're just one big experiment that I think is failing because the people that the saying that those that don't study history are destined to repeat it. I don't know if that makes any bit of difference with some people, because if you studied history and you looked at history and you saw what the Third Reich did to this planet, you wouldn't want to start it again. So we know another book besides the English language that Trump never bothered reading, and that's history. You know, He only reads financial journals and his bank. His favorite book is his bank book, and this is what's happening. Our our country is probably done as a world power because of the confusion that's going to take place and the violence that's going to. We're going to have this race war that like Manson wanted to start, or supposedly wanted to start a race war with Helter Skelter. Well, I think that's eventually going to happen, and it's a shame because my mom was a red-haired Irish lady who was about as white as you can possibly get without being translucent. And she said that it was impossible for us to survive without each other, that we needed each other in order to survive as as humanity, I guess. And she's right. So by going to in this direction where you're going like South Africa went, after the World War II and everything, with that party, and you're going to this that you don't want the blacks to have any rights because the blacks own the diamond, the land the diamond mines were on. So the whites just took it over, and that was the same thing we did in this country with the American Indian. If there was gold or silver or anything that was worthwhile, we kicked the Indians off the land. You know, I, it's just stupid. You can't exist without each other. It's if you want to exist without each other, then you're gonna commit genocide, and you're gonna lose generations of intellect, and you're gonna start inbreeding, and that doesn't produce smarter people. Okay, that's been the downfall of a lot of monarchies or dictators and whatnot. That when they start to inbreed with members of their family. Now, there's laws against that. I forgot what they call that term. But regardless, there's laws against that. But I looked it up, and you can have the problem that you have with that is you can have sex with your cousins and your sisters and your brothers and whatnot. You just can't breed. You can't get married. You can't breed. You want casual sex. It's immoral. And if you're dumb enough to do it where you can get caught, it's illegal in most states. But Trump wants to have sex with his daughter, and that just screws up. He says stuff like that, and there are idiots out there that actually listen to him and say, "Well, the president wants it. It's okay if the president wants it." It ain't okay if the president wants it because this particular president happens to be a moron. All right, so you heard a couple of my little stories. Feel free to discuss this, which is one of the things I started out when I wrote blogs and stuff way back when, is to try to get some sort of discussion going. It's like instead of me sitting behind the bar and talking and trying to get people to say something like that, I do videos and see what's going to happen. I've lost all my video followers, live video followers. So as I said, this could be it for me this week. I'm not going to sit around and do this if nobody's going to watch it. Who gives a shit? You know what I'm saying? In the meantime, folks, that's it for today. I will see you. So far, I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one. If you like me, go find me and subscribe to me. That will help me determine whether I'm going to keep this up or not. So far, I only have 25 people. I did find the other person, and it was I forgot the name already. I didn't write the name down, so I didn't remember it. But I do want to thank them for their subscription, and I hope they hang around, and I hope I continue to interest you. But in the meantime, folks, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.